Cold Feet. Largo Ridge, Book 1. Written by Samantha A. Cole. Narrated by Thom and Charley Ongel. Chapter 1. On a cool, overcast day, Buck Thompson stood between his two best friends, Ryan Vaughn and Justin Haber, in St. Mary's Cemetery in Largo Ridge, New Hampshire. It was a place they'd spent far too much time in, grieving over one loss or another during their 30-plus years on this earth. Buck's father, both of Ryan's parents, most of their grandparents, a friend from middle school who died of cancer, another friend who'd been in a fatal skiing accident, and Noah Scott, their fourth musketeer who had been killed in Afghanistan, were all buried there. And today, Buck, Ryan, and Justin were there to say goodbye to the man who'd been like a second father to all three of them. Noah's father, Matthew Scott, who'd suffered a massive heart attack less than a week ago. Mr. Scott had served in the Army in his youth, and had lost his right leg in a training accident that had killed two others in his squad. After receiving a prosthetic leg and a medical discharge, he had returned to his hometown where he married his high school sweetheart and took over his family's business, the Largo Ridge Ski Resort. Together, he and Grace had made the 40-guest room resort a place where many clients returned year after year. Some of those faithful visitors were now bringing their children and grandchildren on ski vacations, like they'd done with their own parents. 3 days after Buck had been born, Mr. and Mrs. Scott had welcomed their only child, a son, into the world. After Noah had started school, he'd become best friends with Buck, Justin, and Ryan. Theirs had been a true brotherhood. Arguments had been few and far between among the four, with most of them being resolved with rock, paper, scissors. Today, the men were as close as ever, minus Noah. Buck could still remember the phone call he'd received from Ryan, to let him know Noah's helicopter had gone down and there'd been no survivors. That was the day Buck had truly understood the word grief. He'd felt like a part of his soul had been ripped from his body. Even now, tears filled his eyes and the sense of loss raced through him as he glanced over at the tombstone at the head of Noah's grave, next to the one that had been dug for today's services. Sitting on chairs in front of the three friends were Mrs. Scott and her niece, Maxine. 16 years ago, the Scotts had taken in the then 14-year-old girl after her mother had been arrested and found guilty of murdering a convenience store clerk, along with her drug addict boyfriend at the time. At least that had happened in Ohio, so Maxine had been able to start over in Largo Ridge without a scarlet letter on her chest.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?